Well, good morning, everybody. Ooh, we got an active crowd today. Well, welcome to the movement. We are back. My name is Mark Szatkowski, and I am the executive director of the movement. Although you will all see very shortly that this whole event is entirely God-led, and I am just grateful to be a part of today and experiencing it together with you all. Now, before we get rolling, I'm going to, especially for our newcomers here, I'm going to take a minute to share with you all a little bit of background on the movement, what it is, what it isn't, and how all of this came to be. And that is where we'll start this morning. Now, this is not my full-time role, so I actually work in the medical device industry. I've always labeled myself as a Christian, but if I'm totally honest, I had never really lived any differently because of my faith than any other decent non-Christian individual out there. My focus has always been on success and achievement. In my early years, that was through sports and academics to a lesser degree. And later that became my career and making more money and climbing a corporate ladder. Now, all that began to change, began being the operative word there, back in 2014, in China of all places. So I was finishing up my MBA program, and I had to do this global business experience in order to finish the program. And I chose to do mine in China. Now, all week while we were there, we'd been listening to different business leaders talk about their businesses, their guiding principles, and how they led their people and organizations. Now, all I wanted to do was to go in and get my degree and get the heck out of there so I could slap it on my resume and increase my earning power. That was it. Nothing else. But on our very last day, in our very last meeting in a hotel lobby in Shanghai, something totally unexpected happened. Nothing illegal. It sounded a little shady. But our presenter was this guy who was president or CEO of a couple different international companies over there. And his name was Bill. And Bill was from Tennessee. And Bill had moved his entire family over there to China, where he was a wildly successful businessman. But what really caught my attention was that Bill was doing some pretty radical things, all because of his faith. He was very engaging and had clearly done quite well for himself, but he was doing things like hiring and entrusting his businesses to individuals who had previously stolen from him and or his companies. Individuals who had proven themselves untrustworthy. But he was bringing them in and putting everything at risk just to expose these people to Jesus. And I thought, man, this guy seems really nice. But he is a total nut. I mean, he clearly had a lot on the line. He had a successful business. He'd moved his entire family over there to China, and there were clearly a lot of people who were dependent upon the continued success of his businesses. And so I, being the good guy that I am, wanted to help save this guy from himself and his reckless behaviors. And so I raised my hand and I said, hey, this is all great, and I get it. I'm a Christian too, but don't you ever worry about your business? And he looked at me without hesitation and he said, well, no, I don't ever worry about my business. Because number one, it's not my business, it's God's. And number two, if God wants his business to succeed, there's absolutely nothing that I or any of these individuals that you are concerned about can do to stop it. And on the flip side, if God wants his business to fail, I can assure you there is absolutely nothing that I can do to stop that either. And so my only job, my only responsibility is to use everything that God has entrusted me with, my skills, my abilities, my resources, my influence and positional power, to expose people to the love and grace of Jesus Christ. I had never heard anything like that. And I was not ready for it. And it hit me hard. And I did the only reasonable thing that a business person should do in a professional setting like that. And I started uncontrollably crying. Really, it was extremely embarrassing. I couldn't stop. I was just so overwhelmed in that moment. And I now realize it was the Holy Spirit working on me. But at the time, I didn't know what the heck was going on. I was also being crushed by the realization that I had spent my entire life chasing and focusing on a bunch of stuff that really did not matter to God. But in that moment, he gave me a vision for this, the movement. And he showed me that there were so many people out there, just like me, who slapped on the Christian label, but weren't really living any differently because of their faith. Self, success, and comfort were first, and then fitting God into our life plan or wherever it made sense. But that is what the movement is all about. Exposing people in business to their peers who are living and functioning radically differently because of their faith. Individuals like Bill. So, just to be clear, in case anybody needs a refund, this is not a tips and tricks type business conference with Christian undertones. And we are totally unconcerned with any of you 10Xing today. This is a heart-focused, transformational event. It does not matter where you are at on your faith journey. This is a spirit-led, life-changing experience, and God will meet you wherever you're at. You are here for a reason, every single one of you. Now, some of you might be thinking, I don't know about that, or somebody dragged me here today, or I'm really just not feeling it this morning. But I'm telling you right now, you are not here by accident, and God put you here on purpose. So get ready. All right, a couple other things that are unique about the movement. We have absolutely no paid employees, no profits, no financial gain. This is by him and for him alone, nothing else. And because of that, every year we empty the bank account. We give any and all remaining proceeds to our missional nonprofit partners. Now, we do that for two reasons. We do that partly because we want to support these incredible organizations that you'll hear from on stage later today. But we do it also to force ourselves to be fully dependent upon God, not our savings accounts, to provide for each and every event. And he always does. And you will all see shortly why this was such a special one to watch come together. All right. So now that you know a little bit about the movement, let's get into what you all really came here for today. To look at people's perfectly staged family photos. Right? All right, well, this is not real life. This actually required the intervention of a professional because this is real life, okay? Most magical place on earth. All the other children are having the best time of their life, and our child is lying face down in a princess dress, in gum and whatever else is on the ground there, telling us that it is the worst day of their entire life and refusing to move. So, not a lot of Pleasantville photos coming here, but I am going to introduce you to our little gang as there's some necessary introductions beyond me just thinking that they're cute and slightly terrifying. All right, so this is our beautiful daughter, Isla. So she was born 8 weeks premature and spent a bit of time in the NICU, but man, has she grown into a strong, healthy, creative, and incredibly sarcastic little girl. She's got a great sense of humor. She cuddles better than anybody on earth, and she absolutely loves to tell her little sister that she is wrong about everything. I just love her to death, but her mom would say that she takes a lot after her father, which I do not think is correct. All right, and this right here is Millie. She is our adventurous little 6-year-old. She's got a lot of spunk, a big personality, and more confidence than any 6-year-old should ever have. And as you can see here, she often does her own makeup, and she makes some pretty bold choices. We did not know that that was happening until I found my phone with the pictures on it. But many of you will remember Millie as the toddler who gave my grandmother a bare butt send-off in the final moments of her life. But you will all be pleased to know that she has actually increased her pants-wearing percentage by at least 50% over the past 2 years. So certainly some progress, still some work to do there. For those of you that weren't here, that was probably a really random comment. It's all good, part of the day. Do you need a refund now? All right, now this right here is Elka. Yeah, there's absolutely no reason for me to be showing you Elka today other than she just looks ridiculous, so why not? But yes, that is her name, Elka, not Elsa. We let Millie name her. She could not make an S sound, and her S's sounded like K's. She thought she was naming the dog after her favorite Frozen character, but Elsa, but we just rolled with it, and so Elka it is. Now, just to be clear, Elka is unsaved. No, she is not a good dog. In fact, I often refer to her as Legion, as I believe it is quite possible that she is one of the pigs that Jesus cast a demon into. I am still looking into that. But she is a snoring, shedding gas machine, and she eats basically anything: food, toilet paper, carpet, and Millie's lipstick. Yep. No, we did not put lipstick on that pig. She ate it. But her and Millie make an incredible combination. But for a limited time only, for all of our attendees today, we have a very special offer. Elka is up for adoption. For free. Or, if somebody is willing to take this thing, I will pay you, and I will walk off this stage right now, and I will deliver her to your seat in about 3 hours, and you too can experience Elka and all of her amazing capabilities.
I don't think they'll jump on me, though.
You can't just go buy that in a store. That is custom. I wasn't really sure how that part was going to go over. I did weirdly follow her around with a camera until she did that, which fortunately, or unfortunately, depending upon how you look at it, didn't take very long, because that is how she often travels through our house. But this is not how I envisioned preparing for the movement. But here we are. All right, last, but certainly not least, the person that would never speak to me again if I were to give away the lipstick-eating pig dog, my incredible wife, Tara. Tara is an amazing person, and I could not be more grateful for the person that God has paired me with to raise our two beautiful girls and go on this journey of faith and life with. But I am very confident that neither one of us were quite prepared for the journey that God had designed for us. So a little bit of background on Tara before we go any further. So this is her law school photo. She's pretty cute, huh? Eh? I'm going to stop before I get in trouble. So as you probably gathered from the law school comments, in addition to being the most beautiful woman I know and an amazing mother, Tara had been an attorney for the past 15 plus years. And she practiced in family law. And after a few years of practicing in some small local firms, she split off on her own and built her own firm from the ground up, while pregnant, I might add. And Tara was different. She was different from a lot of other attorneys. She wasn't real flashy. She was pretty quiet and reserved. She, ironically, despite being an attorney, didn't really like to talk a whole lot, and she wasn't that worried about racking up a whole bunch of billable hours. She was kind, fair, and cared a lot about helping people in need, people who were often going through the toughest periods of their lives. And she gave a lot of herself. And because of that, her business, or because of her courage and her uniqueness and the things I just described, her business grew quickly. And she eventually became the owner of one of the busiest private multi-specialty law firms in all of Southwest Michigan. As of 2 years ago, she had 4 other attorneys working for her, 3 paralegals, a number of support staff, a beautiful building, and an incredible growing business. Now, that certainly didn't come without its fair share of challenges along the way, but Tara was a force, and she was absolutely killing it. So that is our little family. 2 beautiful, healthy little girls, 2 active working parents, a good Christian home, and possibly a demon from the New Testament. But other than that, our careers were mapped out, we had our faith, and we had a plan. And it seemed like a pretty darn good one. All right, so now that you all know the fam and have a brief history of the movement, I'm going to ask you all to join me and jump back in time together to a very specific time and place. Exactly 2 years ago today, right here, the movement, 2023. I was right here. Many of you were sitting right there. As I shared with many of you that day, I came into the day fully expecting that the movement was coming to an end, that was going to be the last one. The weight of putting all of this together each year took a pretty big toll on me and our little family. It was a big lift, and we both had very demanding and time-consuming jobs. Sign-ups were always modest at best. Many of you take forever to actually sign up. What is up with that, by the way? But there's a lot to it. This coordinating the speakers, the logistics, the banners, the music, the transitions, programs, the social media and advertising, I mean, all of it. We'd certainly had some help with some things here and there in the past, but there was just so much to it, and it was kind of killing me. And so I came into the day planning to end the movement. It was coming to a close, which was really sad and tough, but Tara and I had made the decision in the months leading up to it. However, during the event, as we were approaching the end of the day, after hearing so many incredible messages, one after another, I could feel the Holy Spirit really starting to work on me. And I could feel God telling me, I know you think that this is done, but it's not. The movement continues. And I need you to trust me and tell everybody that it goes on. Now, this was not received without resistance, because I sat and argued with him in that seat right over there for about 20 or 30 minutes. And I told him that I didn't want to, that I was done. And I even came up with the genius idea that maybe I was just misunderstanding what he was asking of me. And so I should probably just hold tight and not say anything. Wait for a sign or something, just in case I was hearing him wrong. But Tara, not knowing the serious dispute that I was in the middle of, goes and ruins my foolproof plan. And she hands me a note that says, God's telling me that this isn't over. You need to continue. And I'm like, are you serious, God? Like, I wasn't actually expecting a sign. But in all fairness, it was pretty clear. And he told me to just get up here and to say it, to announce in front of everybody that the movement would continue. And if I did that, then he would take care of the rest. And so I did. Just put it out there and trust him. Now, begrudgingly at first, but I did it. And I will tell you what, as much as I didn't want to, as soon as I came up here, as soon as I started to say it, I could feel the Holy Spirit speaking through me. And I knew, I felt joy. I knew I was being obedient to his calling, and he had me covered. And as soon as I got off this stage at the end of the day, he immediately began showing his faithfulness. 6 or 7 people met me right down there at the bottom of the stage and said, God is doing something special here. You are not alone. We want to help. And one after another, people were offering to share the burden. I wasn't alone, and God showed me that almost instantly. I left the movement that day feeling so filled and so grateful. God was already beginning to show me that he was blessing my decision to be obedient. And it was amazing. I just knew that 2024 was going to be different. Well, it was different, all right. Not quite what I was envisioning. So Monday, all right, it's a bad sign if I'm already starting to tear up. Somebody pray for me that I can get through this. So Monday, December 18th, 2023, normal Monday morning. Home office day for me. I'm in meetings all day. Tara's taking the girls to school, and then she's heading to court. She'll be back to the house in the afternoon. This is bad. Somebody's not praying well enough. Not supposed to cry yet. So Tara's taking the girls to school, and then she'll be back to the house in the afternoon for some Zoom court hearings. So I help get them all out the door, and then I head downstairs to my office for the day. Late morning, I'm in a meeting, and I get a call from some unknown number. I don't pick up because I'm not really interested in hearing about how my car warranty is expiring, and so I just keep going. A little while later, that wasn't a car joke, guys. A little while later, I get another call coming in. This time it's from Tara's office manager. Kind of odd that she'd be calling me at this time and not Tara, so I pick up. And she says, "Have you heard from Tara?" I tell her, yeah, she'd texted me earlier from court in Van Buren County, and I'm sure everything was okay. But then she said, "I think Tara was in an accident." And I'm just going to pretend I'm drinking water casually. She says, "I think Tara was in an accident." My heart starts racing. She was clearly concerned. And she proceeds to tell me that a client had just called the office, panicking, and said that she was on the phone with Tara when Tara suddenly says, "Hold on." And then she says, "Thank God, I just avoided an accident." But a few seconds later, Tara says, "Oh no, I'm about to get hit." And then the phone goes out. Client tries calling back, goes straight to voicemail. So Dawn, the office manager, she tries calling, gets the same thing, straight to voicemail. And nobody had heard from Tara since. And so I try calling her, I get the same thing, straight to voicemail. My heart is pounding out of my chest at this point. I'd run upstairs, grab my car keys, I jump into the car, and I don't know what the heck I'm going to do, but I know at least where she was coming from, so I'm going to just at least try to retrace her route. As I'm backing out of the driveway, I go to call the police just to see if there'd been any reports of any accidents in the area. And then it hits me. The missed call from earlier. The unknown number from Van Buren County. My heart just sinks. So I call the number back, and I hear the only thing that I didn't want to hear. Sergeant Coles, Michigan State Police. And my heart just sinks. So I ask him if, I tell him that I had a missed call from this number earlier, and he asked me if I'm Tara's husband, Mark. I tell him yes, and then I said, "What is going on? Is Tara okay?" And he tells me that Tara had been in a serious crash, and she was seriously injured, and she was being transported to Bronson Hospital. I ask him again if she's all right, and he just tells me I'd get there as soon as possible if I were you. That was the longest drive of my life, and total shock, and not knowing what to think, and crying and pleading with God, just begging her that she'd be okay, and scared to death of what would come next. Phone starts ringing again. This time it's the hospital. Social worker. Typically not a good sign when a social worker is proactively calling you. She asks if I'm on my way. I tell her yes, and then I again ask, "Is Tara okay? What is happening?" She says, "I'm not a medical professional, but there's a team of people working on her. I was just making sure that you were on your way here." I was already driving as fast as I could, but I went even faster, with tears filling up my eyes and streaming down my face. So I eventually get there to the emergency room, and they apparently know that I'm coming. They buzz me in to where the social worker's waiting for me. Again, typically not a good sign when the hospital knows you're coming and has people waiting for you. But they put me into this private family emergency waiting room by myself with absolutely no clue what is going on. And I'm just crying and pleading with God for her to be okay. Because none of it was giving me a very good feeling. At the time, I didn't realize the miracle that I was asking for. Because had I known what she had just experienced and what she had just been, the wreckage she had just been cut out of and extracted from, I would have absolutely known that there was no chance of her surviving. This was her vehicle. Someone have a Kleenex. Yeah. Sorry, everybody. Nobody survives something like this. So Tara apparently came upon a total blockage on the freeway on I-94, about a mile from our exit. She came to a complete stop right behind a jackknifed semi sprawled across the entire highway, trapping her between them and two other semis on either side. And all of a sudden, she looks up in her rearview mirror and sees another semi-truck at max weight and full speed barreling down on her with absolutely nowhere for her to go. And this is what was left of her Ford Expedition. A lot coming at you all right now, I know. But here's the coolest part about all of this. She just handed me a Kleenex. And later on this afternoon, you are all going to watch her walk right across this stage, in high heels, I might add. And she's going to share with you some pretty incredible things about this journey. I couldn't be more excited to see what God has to share through her. Now, I'm not going to share a lot of the details, as that's his story to tell through her. But what I am going to share with you is why it is so wild that we are all sitting here today. So less than 1 year ago today, I would have told you that there was a 0.0% chance that the movement would continue. Our lives had been turned totally upside down, blown up in a matter of seconds, and we had absolutely no idea what the future held. In the immediate aftermath, Tara faced multiple emergency surgeries, followed by extended stays in the trauma ICU and inpatient rehab just down the street here at Mary Free Bed. The girls and I moved into the Holiday Inn up here just so we could be close to her, long enough that the girls started calling it home. But we had a lot of really rough nights with our sweet little girls struggling to understand why they had to leave mommy each night after they hadn't seen her at all. I do not know why I put this in here, my gosh. This is our girls comforting each other as we were going back to the hotel one night. They were struggling, just supporting each other, going through such a tough time. Now I'm ugly crying, jeez. But we eventually, I got to get off that slide. We eventually got out of there. And through the initial chaos, only to begin an entire year filled with more surgeries, countless sleepless nights, a lot of pain, new physical deficits, physical therapy, more surgeries, and the loss of Tara's business and law firm that she had spent so many years building. Just gone, all of it. Totally wiped out. From supermom and thriving business owner to an empty building and an uncertain future. And then, as we were still trying to pick up all the pieces, in the middle of it all, and as we readied for another set of surgeries, we lose my dad to this really rare form of adult onset muscular dystrophy, an ugly disease. We sat and watched this man who was so tough and durable through all the years, and This man who I used to tell other little boys on the playground that if need be, could definitely beat up their dad, was now confined to a bed and unable to do anything for himself but whisper a few words. That was it. Everything else had been totally stripped from him. It was just awful to watch. And as the final icing on the cake, we found out along the way that I apparently also have a 50-50 shot of having this same disease. And our girls are 25. Just simple math and a lot more uncertainty. And as all of this was coming so fast and all at once, I was just done. And I just wanted to go hide. Another strategic water break. But I just wanted to go hide, and instead of clinging on to God, I began to gradually back away from him. Consciously. I knew it probably wasn't the right path, but I was tired. And I felt like he had expectations of me that I could not meet. I didn't want to have faith anymore. Faith seemed like work and even more uncertainty. And I just wanted rest. I was genuinely scared of what a life surrendered might bring next. I knew I didn't have the strength for any more trials, and I was sick and tired of watching the people closest in my life suffer. And so the mere thought of the movement seemed absolutely ridiculous. This event was always a challenge and a faith stretch in the past, but this time was different. I honestly started correlating the traumas and circumstances that our family had experienced to the commitments that we had made to serve and follow Christ. And so I just wanted to go hide and slip away quietly with none of you ever asking about this ever again. But weirdly, the thing that was still eating at me about it all, the thing that was still crushing my faith, was the promise that he'd made to me right here in October of 2023, when he told me to trust him. And I did. And he told me that this time would be different. Now, granted, it was different, but it was way worse. And I watched everything around me crumble, including myself. And I thought, how could this be? Like, I am positive that I heard you, Lord. I could feel you promising me and telling me that you had it. You told me to jump, I listened, and you let me fall. And so I backed away. For an entire year, I intentionally kept God at arm's length, refusing to do anything that required faith. That was less than 9 months ago. So, how the heck did we all get here today? Well, back in late February, little by little, he started to actually show me some things that were already there. Things that up until that point, I hadn't really been open to seeing. Things like Tara was home. Really difficult and tough adjustment for her, no doubt. But our girls were getting so much more of their mom and seeing and experiencing firsthand the most amazing woman that I know. And Tara and I, despite all of the pain and life adjustments, we kept getting even closer. And I saw God working in her life like never before. And I saw her faith through all of this wild journey begin to affect thousands of other people. Like real eternal impact on total strangers. And even people in our lives that we'd never really discussed our faith with. And he also started to show me that although my dad's death was really difficult and ugly to watch, it was actually kind of weird to say now, but quite beautiful. Some people are here on this earth to show us how to live. But my dad showed us how to die. In his final weeks and months here on earth, he probably taught me more and had a greater eternal impact on me than the previous 40 years. I watched this strong, humble man be stripped of absolutely everything that is important to this world. All of it. but not once did I hear him complain. But what I did see was him clinging to only two things: Jesus and whispering to anybody that came within earshot that he loved them. That was it. That was all he had to offer. But you could not take those two things away from him. He had been stripped of everything I had spent my entire life chasing and trying to protect, in a fate that I've got a 50% chance of experiencing. But in doing so, he showed me just how fragile and temporary all of that stuff really is. No amount of money or backup plans can protect the things that this world treasures. The only unshakable thing that there is God. And my dad certainly had that. And as God was opening my eyes to all these things that I had previously refused to see, he began to tell me, I never left you. I never left your dad or your girls. And I certainly never left Tara. I mean, did you see that car? You think that she's alive by chance? You think that I wasn't with her? And he told me, I love you. And I promise you, I am working all things for good. Even when you can't see it, I am working all things for good. And as he was revealing these realities to me, I could also feel him telling me that the movement was going to continue. And I could feel me telling him, oh no, it's not. Back in late February, I was down in that same office, and this time I heard him calling me to trust him once again, just like he did back in October of 2023. Now, there was absolutely no way we could do this year, 2025. This takes at least a year to plan. Speakers need that time. I need that time. We need to ramp up for attendance. And Tara still wasn't healed and probably needed more surgeries, which she did. So there was just no way. But then he said something that really stuck with me. He said, all right, dummy. It was special. At least I knew he was talking to me. But he said, we got to get two things straight. He said, the movement is not on you. And it is certainly not about you. All I need from you is faith. Just jump and watch me work. And so I did. Not because I am a titan of faith, but because he showed me grace and he gave me strength when I had absolutely none. And believe it or not, he didn't actually need me at full strength. In fact, it was better off that I wasn't, because that is where he really shines. When we can't pat ourselves on the back and we can only point to him. When we are fully reliant upon his strength instead of our own. He doesn't need us at all. But he loves us, and he wants to use us, and he wants to show us what it is like when we stop relying upon ourselves and we start relying upon him. He did all of this. We have more attendees than ever before. That was not me. I thought I had a bunch of volunteers and support coming off the stage in 2023 that I couldn't get back. You would not believe the people and organizations and businesses that God put in place over the past 7 months to do all the heavy lifting. He took what I said was impossible and he made it even better. And how much more beautiful is this? Knowing that God provided all of it. No one can take credit for this except for him. He showed his power and his faithfulness when I had absolutely nothing left to give. And so here we are, by God's grace alone. And that brought me to the final and most important lesson of all. All of the things and circumstances that I or our family went through, it was never about us. The movement, Tara's accident, my dad, whether or not me or our girls have this muscular dystrophy gene. None of it was about any of us. Now, he's certainly working on me and Tara and our girls and even many of you here today through all of it, sure. But it's not about any of us. It's all about him. Jesus calls us to die to ourselves, not glorify ourselves, but to die to self and use all that he has entrusted us with to glorify him. And that is what we will do today. By his grace alone, this is his movement, and it will continue. I'm so grateful to be here with you all today, and welcome to the movement.